Welcome back to America's Forum. As promised, Newsmax Senior Editor David Patten is here. We're joined via Skype by our friend Howie Carr, both of the Boston Herald, where he's a columnist, and WRKO Talk Radio. We welcome both of these gentlemen to the discussion, but patiently waiting on the phone, Sergeant Evan Buetow, who was team leader for Bergdahl that fateful time in Afghanistan. And Evan, before the break, you said that when you guys awakened and Bergdahl was gone, you talked to some people who said they saw Evan Bergdahl crawling, I guess, through the weeds or the tall grass. The bottom line is this, Evan. In your mind, is Bergdahl a deserter?
Yes. By every explanation of the word, he had post-command. He willingly left his weapon, his armor, his sensitive items behind, and he walked right out of our perimeter and walked away. And following the children coming up to us saying they saw him walking through the weeds, once it started to develop, we had people on scene who had communications devices to listen into cell phone calls and listen to radio communications between anyone, just to try to get a tracking point for where Bergdahl might be. We had reports that he was in a village called Yayakale, which was a very dangerous place about 2 miles from the small OP we were at. And I'm pretty sure it's documented in official documents. And I was there when it came over the radio that he was in Yayakale attempting to find someone who spoke English so he could speak to the Taliban. And this wasn't even a day after he walked away. This was the day he walked away. It was that quick that we realized he's trying to reach out to the Taliban somehow.
Yeah, Sergeant, this is Howie Carr from Boston. I was talking to Colonel David Hunt today, and he was talking to sources at the Pentagon, and he said that what he heard was that Bergdahl had actually called back to the base on his cell phone and said he was leaving, and then he destroyed the cell phone. Is that your understanding, that he destroyed the cell phone so that you guys couldn't track him?
No, that would definitely all be false. Nobody had any cell phones. Weren't allowed in Afghanistan. He was a PFC at the time, and that didn't even matter. Nobody had cell phones. No one had any cell phones. So unless after he left he acquired a phone, but there was never a phone call made back to us or anybody. It was just he was gone, and we were chasing a ghost at that point from village to village trying to track him down.
So Sergeant David Patten here, our understanding from reporting from both the New York Post and also from CNN is that half a dozen U.S. soldiers, operators, lost their lives going out to try to find Bergdahl. What is your reaction now that a man that you describe as a deserter, essentially, resulted in the loss of 6 American lives, plus now 5 top Taliban terrorists have been released in return for his freedom? How do you react to that?
It's incredibly frustrating. I'm definitely happy for his family. I'm happy. He's an American citizen. I'm happy that he's back and that we can hopefully get closure to this whole incident. But yes, several soldiers, 2 from Blackfoot Company, died as a direct result on a specific directed mission trying to find him, Bergdahl. And yes, those soldiers would have not been in place on that mission in that exact place when they were killed if it wasn't for Bergdahl leaving. So yes, as a direct result of him leaving, several soldiers died. And about the Guantanamo detainees being released, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because they're very high-level, high-value targets, and I'm sure soldiers lost their lives doing what they could to get those people into prison and not in Afghanistan killing more Americans. So yes, when it comes to giving away these high-value targets for someone who I think is a deserter, I think we definitely gave a lot more than anything else. I am happy that we got an American back because he's an American citizen, like I said. But what we gave up, in my opinion, is not worth it whatsoever. I don't want to really say any other comments about the administration and how they handle their business, but I do think we gave up a lot.
Evan
Sergeant,
Buetow,
this is Howie Carr again. Was there any griping among your troops when they were sent out to find this guy that they knew? I assume they suspected as well that they were looking for a deserter.
Yes, we all. It was hard. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was our mission, and we signed on that line to be in the Army. And you know what our orders that we give to do whatever, we're going to follow them no matter what. The information we knew while we were finding him, yeah, we knew that he was a deserter and he had seeked out the Taliban. However, we really wanted to find him. We wanted to get him back, one, so he wouldn't be killed and the Taliban could turn this into, some type of big propaganda feature. But also, I mean, we just wanted to get him back, because he's a soldier still. But yeah, there was definitely.
What indications did he give you? Did he give you any indications on the base? I mean, did he say anything specifically? I'm sorry I didn't hear the first part. If I'm repeating a question JD or John asked you earlier, were there any indications before he left?
Before he left, he came to me asking how he could get some money. There's a way when you're deployed, you can get a thing. I'm pretty sure it's called an Eagle cash card. I've been out for a while, I can't remember, but. You can go and soldiers can get money and get taken out of their account and they can have money on deployment on a card. He asked me how he could get some money. I didn't think anything of it. A lot of soldiers do that. He asked me he wanted to send his computer home and some of his belongings home. He asked me how he could do that. Again, I didn't think too much of it. A lot of soldiers, their computers break, they get dust in them or whatever, and they send them home and they buy a new one or whatever. I didn't think anything about it. He did talk to me. He did come to me about his frustrations with how we were handling the war effort over there, and that he didn't like it. And he did. How the U.S. Army's war effort. He was very frustrated with it. He didn't get into specifics with me personally, but it was definitely voiced.
Evan Buetow, you were his team leader as a sergeant in a position of leadership as a non-com. That was then. The years have passed. You're back home, as I understand now. You're a law enforcement officer. But if you had a chance to see Bergdahl face to face, what would you say to him, or what would you be tempted to? How would you react?
I want the truth, and I know that a lot of soldiers, mainly the ones who are there in the platoon. We just want the truth. It's something that we've never had closure on, and as his leadership, I don't feel like I failed him or I failed anything. He walked off on his own accord. He was, I believe, it was premeditated, predetermined. He was going to do that. There really wasn't anything we could have done to stop that. But I just want to ask him why. I just want him, in his words, I want to say, why did you do this? I want you to tell me the truth, because for my life, I need closure on the incident myself. It's something, I wouldn't say I've struggled with it, but it's something I've never forgot about, and I need closure. I don't think I'd be upset. I mean, it's been many years, and that's not the issue, but I want the truth. I want the truth to be out there, and I don't want him regarded as a hero. I don't want him regarded as the example that soldiers should look up to, because he's the exact opposite of that.
Well, the Obama administration has repeatedly said that no Guantanamo detainees will be transferred unless the threat they pose to the U.S. can be mitigated. We know now that there are over 600 inmates who have been released from Guantanamo. 100 of those returned to terrorism. 74, in addition, are suspected to have returned. When we look at these numbers, Sergeant, what is the likelihood, in your view, that these 5 very bad actors who are going to be released are going to be, within a year or so, back out on the battlefield and perhaps even targeting American lives again?
What I want to get out there when it comes to the truth is about Bergdahl specifically. But I will say that I believe that, I think there's no doubt in my mind that they will go right back to doing what they did before. And that's all I'll comment on that.
So you do think that it's likely that they'll be perhaps re-entering the battlefield, but that's not really the focus of your comments. You want people to know that in your eyes, in the eyes of your comrades, he is in fact a deserter. Tell us a little bit about the band of brothers, that you're counting on each other's lives, and what it means that someone walked away when you had to depend on them.
It puts an incredible burden on everybody. Not only that someone just deserted, but that we knew that he was trying to find someone who spoke English so he could speak to the Taliban. And as we're all sitting there on this very small base, miles away from any major forward operating base, we're sitting there saying, you know what, he knows where our bunkers are, he knows where our positions are, he knows where our trucks are parked, he knows how our guard shifts change, he knows what our sectors of fire are.
And so the
He knows
bottom
how we
line
conduct
is, and
patrols.
Sergeant Buetow, we're up against the clock. It sounds like there's a fine line between a deserter and a traitor. He had key information, could have put you in jeopardy. We thank you for your time. There is more to come on America's Forum.